This is Draco Wing, and I do believe that the Crashing Footfalls matchup is actually turning Merfolk's way these days. Because of the new additions we've gotten into the deck, Hex Catchers and other different kind of decks, and I think it's really interesting. Many people would say that that matchup is really hard for the Merfolk, but suddenly it seems it's the fish who are eating the rhinoceros and not the other way around, so that's pretty interesting to see. I had a game against them, which that unfortunately it didn't get recorded properly, so I'm gonna go through the replay. Hopefully you guys will learn a bit something from here, but I still think there are some interesting strategies in that specific game, and it'll be a really fast walkthrough about that. The deck we're running is Nikitu's list from Magic 30. He, in that tournament, played against 4 or 5 Rhino players and did really well. Beating those guys out. The only things I changed right now is that I'm running one less island than him and then a waterlogged grove to filter away if you get flooded too much. And in the sideboard, he mentioned himself that 4 spreading seas in the sideboard might be too much, so I run 2 spreading seas in the sideboard and 2 Ratchet Bombs, which are also great in this matchup. You can find the deck list in the description below. But let's look at the game. So, game 1 against Bizarre Love. We don't know what we're up against, but we mulligan the hand here. It was 1 lander, and now we can run out Cavern. We do have the Curse Catcher in hand, so Curse Catcher on 1 is fine. This hand we sent back them as a supplementary extra Muta Vault. I don't think we need 2 Muta Vaults, and we are able to play. Normally we would often be able to play the Tide Shaper on 2. He plays a Mist Rainforest because that's kind of unfortunate. We wanted to be able to play Curse Catcher into Tide Shaper into Sverloon, but luckily we draw the island. Now we can resolve the Lord of Atlantis. And looking at a Mist Rainforest into a Triome, you don't know what you're up against. What gives it away is, and this is a pretty interesting situation, is right now he is suddenly, Ketria Triumph into Forest. I'm like, okay, Ren 6 is a bad play if it's, 4 color. But look what he does here. Okay, he stomps the Lord of Atlantis. And one of the big things I did here is that considering what to do, normally you can actually just sacrifice the Curse Catcher, but when he plays Bone Crusher Giant, it's a big signal that this is Rhinos, and against Rhinos I'm like, okay, I don't really want to get my Curse Catcher killed right away because of the then he can just resolve it next turn, and I don't have anything against Force Negation, anything counter magic against that, so he could just playing a Violent Outbreak next turn. The Curse Catcher keeps that away for a turn until I can maybe draw a Hex Catcher or something. Anyway, that could be argued. Okay, so run down the Tide Shaper, hopefully denying him mana. I don't want to run out Sverloon at this moment because these guys play 4 Furies in the main deck. So I think it's much better just to play out the Tide Shaper. In his turn he resolves the Bone Crusher Giant, which is of course kind of a nuisance. But we get to put down a Sverloon and pass the turn, hoping that he doesn't have the ability to create Rhinos, but he does. Wild Outburst comes in, and suddenly his board is really big. And we draw a creature. And actually here the big discussion point is that do we just stay back? But this is a losing position. He has 5 cards in the hand. He needs a lot more to do. So I think we just cash in the Sverloon attack for the draw. And then we can use Trickster to tap down a Rhino in his turn. And the draw is a Dismember, which is not the worst. He doesn't go for anything here. It doesn't count that we could have the Hex Catcher. So he just blocks, which is a good play. And we can Trickster, and then he's going to attack with both. We're going to Dismember the Rhino token, which is kind of, lackluster play, but it's fine. We go to 12. That's it. And we have some Merfolks out. But he has a Shardless Agent, and now this board is not looking great. He has, 3 Rhinos, a Bone Crusher Giant, and a Shardless Agent, and 5 cards in hand. And we are on 12, so the trample from the Rhinos is really relevant. And in game 1 is pretty difficult. We draw a Master, that's great. But we actually right now look at the damage from the Master. Since we can't activate Muta Vault, we have exactly 12 points of damage, which is 1 short of winning the game. So the right line here is to consider what should we do at this moment. The board state is getting clogged, and that's why it can be really hard to get the big perspective. We need to push in a bit of damage, but we can't really attack with the Curse Catcher. That would be a bad attack. The problem with attacking with that is that we need that to protect the master. If he lightning bolts or shoots the master, we can sacrifice with maybe we can save it with Curse Catcher. So instead we choose to attack with the Singleton Tide Shepherd that has transformed his Catcher Charming into an island, and just hit for 3, so he goes to 10, which means that we have a good chance of killing him next turn, even though we have to block something here. So this round, he goes to attack step, and we have to be aware of which we block here. What he does is that he actually attacks with everything, and this is difficult because one of the things you need to be aware of here is that they do have Violent Outburst is not only to create rhinos, it's also actually giving +1/+0, which is not irrelevant. So you have to consider Violent Outburst here, and that means that we need to do some blocks because we're only on 12. We can't let the rhinos do us too much damage here. So the blocks, I think this is absolutely the correct blocks, is that you put your Trickster on the Shardless Agent. The Curse Catcher will just throw that away and block on the Bone Crush Giant. The Shardless Agent means that that'll probably survive, and even if it doesn't, if he kills the master, we can still activate Mutavault, and Swealun will still be indestructible. Swealun can eat up a rhino, and even if he kills the master here, we only take 10 points of damage from the 2 unblocked rhinos, and then 1 point of damage from the trample no, we wouldn't even take trample damage, so that's still not enough. And here the Violent Outburst would only be, because we block the rhino with the Swealun, we don't take any much damage here, even though if he has the Violent Outburst. And yes, he does have the Violent Outburst, but that's not enough. So we go to exactly 2, I think it is. And that's fine. Next turn we can attack, and he just concedes, so we can attack for lethal. Let's look at game 2. We're up 1-0. First of all,